Uh, Something is being extended towards you right now that you have not encountered before, not in this form, not at this scale, not with this specific quality of weight and consequence and genuine possibility attached to it. And I want to be very deliberate about the language I use to describe it because the word offer carries implications. I want you to receive precisely rather than loosely. An offer is not a gift. It does not arrive without requiring something of you. It comes with a decision attached. A moment where you have to be present enough, clear enough, and bold enough to actually say yes to something that is bigger than what you have been accustomed to accepting as available to you. That is what is here, not approaching, not forming somewhere in the near distance. Here, in the specific energetic window of the period you are currently living through, moving toward its moment of expression in your visible life, already beginning to announce itself in ways you may have been noticing without fully understanding what you were noticing. I want to walk you through what the cards showed me today because this reading landed with a quality I want to honor fully rather than deliver quickly. The cards were insistent. The message was large. And what I am about to describe to you is something that I want you to receive with the full, open-handed attention it deserves rather than the cautious, carefully qualified attention that Virgo sometimes defaults to when something arrives at a scale that feels almost too significant to trust. Breathe and stay with me. Let me describe what I felt the moment this energy opened, because the first impressions were unlike most of what I encounter in a standard reading, and that difference is itself information worth sharing. I felt authority, not the kind that is performed or announced or that requires an audience to sustain itself, the kind that simply exists, that fills a room by virtue of being present rather than by making any particular effort to fill it. The specific quality of someone who has moved past the point of needing external confirmation to know the weight of what they carry, who has arrived at a settled, undefended sense of their own significance that requires nothing from the outside to remain intact. I I felt that quality in your energy, and I want to be direct with you. This is not how everyone's energy reads. It is specific. It is the quality that creates a particular kind of magnetism, the kind that draws exactly the sort of attention that produces exactly the sort of offer this reading is describing. You carry something, have been carrying it for longer than you have fully been aware of, that belongs to a different register than ordinary, and the world is beginning to register that. I also felt something that I can only describe as arrival, the sensation of something that has been in transit for a long time finally entering the final approach, not landed yet, but close enough that the air has changed. The first card in this reading arrived in the position representing your current energetic position in the world, who you are and how you are showing up in the larger landscape of things right now. And I want to describe it with real specificity because its imagery is both precise and deeply significant. This card shows a figure seated on an elaborate throne at an elevation that implies genuine standing, holding a scepter, surrounded by the symbols of established authority and recognized power. The imagery is of someone who commands rather than requests, who is listened to because of what they have demonstrated rather than what they claim, who occupies a position of genuine influence not because it was given to them, but because they have grown into it through the accumulation of real capability demonstrated consistently over time. This card sits at the very pinnacle of its suit, at the position of the highest court figure, representing the full and complete embodiment of the element's mature energy. What this tells me about your current position is not that you are becoming this. It is that you are this right now in this period of your life, and the rest of the world has not yet fully caught up to recognizing it in the terms that this card describes. I also want to speak to something specific about the earth element this card belongs to, because the suit of material things, of tangible reality, of what actually exists and endures in the physical world, is pointing towards something concrete rather than abstract. The authority I am describing is not merely a quality of your character, though it is that. It is something that has been building in the actual material, practical landscape of your life, in what you have built, in what you know how to do, in the specific track record that exists in the world because of what you have produced. That concrete record is part of what is calling this offer forward. The second card appeared in the position representing what is specifically moving toward you, the offer itself rather than your state of readiness for it. And this is the card that I want to give the most space to in this reading because it is the one that carries the largest implications. This great card sits at the completion of the entire arc of the major arcane sequence, at the final position of the deck's journey, the card that represents wholeness fully achieved, cycles completely fulfilled, the arrival at a destination that has been the orientation of a very long arc of movement. When this appears in a reading in the position of what is approaching, it tells me something specific. What is coming is not a small opportunity dressed up in large language. It is something genuinely comprehensive, something that addresses multiple dimensions of your life simultaneously rather than improving one area while leaving others untouched. I am sensing that what is being offered carries a quality of completeness that you have not previously encountered in the same form. It does not ask you to choose between one thing and another, between what matters professionally and what matters personally, between security and meaning, between recognition and authenticity. It is the kind of thing that arrives and makes those prior trade-offs feel suddenly irrelevant, that offers a configuration of your life that you had perhaps been treating as an ideal rather than as a genuine possibility. I also want to speak to the dancing figure at the center of this card because their movement is inside a wreath of completion rather than reaching toward one. The arrival has already occurred in the energetic dimension. What remains is the moment when it crosses from the energetic into the visible. And that crossing is what this period represents. The four emblems surrounding this figure in the card represent the fullness of all possible domains of human experience. Nothing is excluded. This is not partial good news. This is comprehensive arrival. Does this feel like something you have been sensing without quite knowing how to name it, Virgo? Have you had the experience recently of something beginning to feel different in the landscape of your life, of possibilities becoming more vivid that previously felt theoretical? Leave me a comment. I want to hear what this is touching for you as you receive it. The third card arrived in the position representing the quality of what you bring to this moment, what you specifically have that makes this offer genuinely yours, rather than something that has simply arrived by chance at your door. This card shows a single figure standing at the summit of a mountain, wand raised, having climbed, having struggled, having persisted through every preceding difficulty of the terrain, and now standing at the top with a full, unobstructed view of the landscape below. The fire element of this suit speaks to the passionate, driven, creative energy that has been fueling the climb. And the number here represents the completion of a journey rather than its midpoint, the arrival at a vantage point that only became available because of everything that was traversed to reach it. What I am reading in this card about what you specifically bring is the accumulated intelligence of someone who has done everything the hard way at least once and who therefore knows things that cannot be taught in any other way. There is a quality of earned perspective in you that is one of the rarest and most valuable things a person can possess. You have been through iterations. You have encountered the version where something did not work and you have understood why. You have built, dismantled, rebuilt, and the rebuilt version is better, not by accident, but by design, because the failure of the earlier version informed the construction of the later one. That specific, hard-won, experiential intelligence is one of the primary things that makes this offer yours. The people or circumstances bringing it are not selecting you randomly or on the basis of potential alone. They are selecting you on the basis of a demonstrated record of evidence visible in the actual world of what you have already done and what it shows about what you can do next. I also want to name something about the view from this particular card's summit, because I think it is relevant to how you receive what is coming. From the top of the mountain, you can see the whole journey, including the parts that felt like failures or setbacks in the moment. The detours that seemed to waste time, but that built specific competencies you could not have acquired any other way. The moments of apparent defeat that produce the exact understanding that makes you uniquely suited to this moment. The view from where you are standing now includes all of that, and what it shows is that the path was not random. It was, in retrospect, exactly what it needed to be to bring you to exactly this point. Inhale deeply, Virgo, because the fourth card carries the most direct description of what feeling on top of the world is actually going to feel like, and I want to make sure you receive it fully. This card shows a chariot moving forward with unmistakable directional authority, driven by a crowned figure who has achieved the specific kind of mastery that allows them to direct opposing forces toward the same destination through clarity of purpose rather than through force. The movement in this card is not tentative, it is decisive. It carries the specific energy of someone who has resolved any remaining internal ambivalence about their direction and who is now moving with the full unified force of everything. They are pointed in the same way. I want to speak to what I am sensing this card is describing about the quality of what you are going to feel when this offer arrives and when you receive it. There is a specific sensation that belongs to the moment when you have been moving in a direction for a long time and you suddenly encounter clear, undeniable confirmation that the direction was right. Not self-generated confirmation, not the internal sense of being on the right path that you have had to maintain through sheer conviction during the periods when external evidence was ambiguous. External confirmation, the kind that arrives from outside you, from the world, rather than from your own certainty, that says, yes, this is the right direction, and here is the concrete, visible evidence of that. That confirmation is part of what this offer is going to deliver. The specific relief of it, the specific expansion of it, the feeling, which I imagine you have not had in exactly this form for a while, of moving forward with the full aligned momentum of someone whose inner knowing and outer circumstances are finally pointing in exactly the same direction simultaneously. I also want to speak to something about the crown in this card because it matters for how you receive this moment. The crown is not decorative, it is functional. It represents the specific sovereignty of someone who is operating from their own authority rather than waiting for permission from anyone else to occupy the position that is rightfully theirs. Part of what this offer is going to ask of you is exactly this: to receive it as someone who knows it belongs to them rather than as someone who is surprised to have been considered or uncertain whether they deserve the scale of it. You deserve the scale of it. I want to address something that I am sensing might be operating in the background of your awareness as you receive this reading. A specific quality of internal doubt that Virgo carries in moments of significant possibility, because I think naming it clearly is more useful than simply delivering good news and hoping the doubt stays quiet. When something this significant presents itself, there is a voice. You know the voice. It is the one that runs the rapid inventory of every reason this might not be what it appears to be, every way in which something this good could have a catch attached, every reason to move carefully rather than fully, to ask more questions before saying yes, to wait for more certainty before committing. That voice is useful. In many situations, it is one of your most valuable protectors. It has kept you out of situations that presented well but delivered poorly. But there are specific moments when that voice is not protecting you from something bad, it is protecting you from something good, from the discomfort of occupying a larger space than you have been habitually occupying, from the specific vulnerability of saying yes to something you care deeply about and therefore having something to lose if it does not unfold as hoped, from the particular exposure of stepping fully into a role or a position that you have always known you were built for, but that you have, perhaps not until now, been directly asked to inhabit. I want you to notice that voice when it arrives. And then I want you to notice whether what it is protecting you from is danger or from the full, unreserved inhabiting of a moment that is genuinely, comprehensively, structurally yours. The fifth card arrived in the position of the invitation. What this offer is specifically asking you to step into, and I want to describe it with the care its imagery deserves, because it is the card that ties everything in this reading together. This card shows a radiant sun blazing over a scene of absolute, uncomplicated joy. A figure riding freely in the brightness, arms open, the quality of someone who has moved beyond the complexity and the effort and the difficulty, and who is now simply inside an experience of genuine, undefended aliveness. This is the card of clarity, so complete it becomes joy, of confidence, so established it becomes ease, of success, so embodied it becomes natural. When this card appears in the position of what you are being invited into, it is not describing a distant ideal. It is describing a specific available state, one that is connected to this offer and to what saying yes to it produces in your life, your experience of yourself, your sense of what your daily existence can actually feel like when the circumstances finally match the size of who you are. I also want to speak to the number of this card, which belongs to the major arcane and sits near the completion of its sequence, well past the middle, past the difficult passages, in the specific territory of earned radiance, of light that has moved through darkness and emerged, not despite it, but because of it, richer and more certain because of what it has been through. This is not naive light. This is seasoned light, the specific quality of joy that only becomes available after someone has done what they needed to do and arrived where they were heading. I want to go one more layer into what this card tends to produce in the daily lived experience of someone who receives what it is describing. There is a quality of mourning to this energy, literally the feeling of waking up in a chapter where the first awareness of the day is not wait but possibility, not the tasks that need to be managed, but the feeling that this is genuinely the life you are living and that the life you are living is genuinely good. That specific quality of days that feel alive rather than managed, of moving through your circumstances with the sense that they are expressing rather than constraining what you actually are, is part of what is on the other side of this. Not as a permanent, uninterrupted state, because that is not how any life actually works, but as the default register, the ordinary baseline. What a regular day feels like when you are finally in the right-sized container for who you are. That is the light on the other side of the yes. And the offer that is coming is the door. Before I close, I want to say something that I think this reading has been building toward from its first moment, and that I want to deliver plainly without decorating it into something softer than what it actually is. You are built for something larger than what you have been operating in. You have known this, not arrogantly, not in the way of someone who overestimates themselves, but in the quiet, accurate, carefully held way of someone who has had direct experience of their own capabilities and who has also, for practical reasons, for reasons of circumstance and timing and caution, been operating within a container that is somewhat smaller than what those capabilities would naturally fill. That container is about to change. The biggest offer of your life is not a metaphor for an internal shift or a change in perspective. It is a real, external, material, practical offering of a different scale than what you have been working within. And the feeling it is going to produce, that feeling of being on top of the world, is not manufactured or temporary. It is the specific sensation of someone who is finally operating at the actual size of what they are rather than at a comfortable, practical, slightly compressed version of it. Say yes, not cautiously, not with 17 conditions and a list of concerns and a careful assessment of all the ways it might go wrong. Say yes to the full size of it, the way you actually feel it when you are being honest with yourself, the way some part of you has always known it was coming and has been waiting with varying degrees of patience for it to arrive. It is here. If this reading met something in you that has been waiting to be met, please share it with a Virgo who might be on the edge of their own biggest offer and who needs to hear that it is real and that they deserve the full scale of it. And leave a comment. I want to know what this opened in you and whether the offer I have been describing has a specific face or form you already recognize. I read every single comment, and I hold the stories that move through this community with genuine care long after this video ends. Until next time, Virgo, the offer is real. The timing is now. The only question is whether you are going to say yes at the full size of what you are. The answer, I think, is already forming. Let it